Last time on FableSMP, we caught Ray at a pretty good moment where he has been excitedly working on an entirely new project, the museum expansion to the Everman Library. He had just finished the building itself and was sending out letters of invitation to people he thinks would be particularly interested in helping him curate exhibits, and then went and set up the very first one, which is the Pyrophis fossil recreation, which he went and studied, set up, and then the auras helped him write the information about it and put up the signs for it. We put up the god murals and started work there, and then Wolf came in and found him, and Ray got to run around and tell him about the progress he'd been making, when talking to Wolf gave him an idea on how to finally maybe the DREs to work in the way that he wanted them to. Last time on FableSMP, Ray was working on his DERs again. He has made an improvement to the reader for it when he got to talk to Wolf and Caspian about Malate. And Wolf had the idea to give Malate a communicator so that they could communicate easier. So Ray and Caspian headed over to the end. Wolf had to stay home to take care of the new sick panda, Sprout. But Ray and Caspian headed over to what they thought was just going to be a drop-off, but turned into an entire conversation with a god. And it was quite a time. They got to build using some creative powers that Malate was able to grant on the island. Talk to them, learn a bit more about Malate, especially an interesting thing of note, being that Endirion doesn't know them, even though they say they are an end god. Little interesting. And of course we got a fun time of Malate giving Ray a skirt, so we got some pretty boys and pretty skirts moments. But overall, it was a very positive time. Last time on FableSMP, Ray, Caspian, and Wolf took a journey to the Mysons, a new Mysons area, one that Caspian was born at and lived for at least the first couple of years of his life. They found a lot of information about everyone's family. Hints that Adara's mother might have been the midwife for Isla when Ray was born, and about Nevaeh's marriage, how Adara and Nevaeh got married. It was very cute, but not on my stream. On Wolf's perspective, we saw Wolf get captured by a trap set for him by the pillagers, and he came home, told Ray that he needed help, and Ray got to help patch him up from the axe wound on his shoulder. And Wolf had gotten some level of answers, a location for them to try and get to try and find Arasana. Last time on FableSMP, the group met up at Town Hall to announce that they had potentially located where Arasana was, where the mansion she might have been held at is. And the group got together, geared up, and headed out to a location that was close. They kind of had a general area to look, which meant that Ray could get out his new and improved DER setup and give them a direction that gave a stronger aether signal. So, able to tune into Arasana's aura they were able to find the mansion. And it was quite a fight. There were a lot of pillagers. Fable held them off from outside, the ones that were roaming around and trying to get back in. Fable was fighting like 20 dudes at once out the door. The group inside got a bit ambushed, where they specifically targeted and shot Ray in the wing because they had found books from libraries, including Ray's own medical encyclopedia that told them about how delicate the elytra are. So they were able to aim for that, and currently Ray is flightless, as he has to keep his elytra on and have them bandaged so they can heal naturally right now. And they did get Arasana back, technically. She was actually fighting with them and was under their control, but even when she got her totem back, the totem that is holding part of her, she wasn't herself. She wasn't like she used to be. A lot more cruel. A lot more rude. And on Wolf's perspective, Wolf and Arasana had quite a confrontation where she tricked him into thinking that she had just forgotten and that they could fix it. And Wolf felt really dumb about it. Ray had to kind of comfort him and trying to figure out what to do to help if she can be helped. Last time on FableSMP, Ray had a run-in with Arasana that resulted in quite a fight between them, as Arasana tried to perhaps pull what she had with Wolf, but Ray already knew about it and could call her out on it. But when Arasana doubled down and kept digging in, insistent on making fun of Wolf, Ray snapped, shouted at her, and controlled her with his powers of the mind. His chest scar split back open, and he called Icarus for help after Arasana fled. Last time on FableSMP, Axe and Centros got to show the Cathedral of War, the project that they've been working on for quite some time in hosting a very fun tournament of, we had archery, we had jousting, we had combat, and overall it was really, really fun. Until the end, things got a bit tense, as Sherbert started having some intense Quixes glitching around them and ended up hurting both Ven and Fable. And Icarus and Fable rushed out. Something happened strangely with Centros, where he healed Ven by reverting Ven back to how he was before. And throughout this, Ray had started to pick up on some unsettling things from Centros's mind when Endirion brought his attention to it. So Ray followed after Centros when he left the event, watched as he talked to his partners, and when he went up to talk to Centros, Centros took off and flew away without him. Not on my stream. Centros went, confronted Fable, and Centros did not survive. As of this time, Centros died and then ascended to godhood, while Fable has been rendered mortal after taking a serious stab from the Reaver. Last time,
Please, whatever it is.
on
Your safety.
SMP.
Sorry, I must have nodded off. You're awake.
What?
What happened that night?
It was late and stormy.
Hi.
Are you okay? What? Sorry,
Ray, you have to go.
who is that?
We don't have time.
He said he was gonna miss this. And we were all having fun at the event. And when he left with Wolf,
You're out.
Not entirely. I may be free of my prison cell, but I am still trapped, just as you are trapped in that mirror.
this is what's damaged. This is what's wrong.
Stay quiet.
I can't. I probably just
You're okay?
waking up.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just a rough couple days. I'm good though. I'm good. Nothing to worry about.
When you are gone, all will live, never to be taken from their homes, lives, or families again. With your power, I will return everyone from your realm of death. Those left behind shall be reunited with their loved ones.
This is what happened. This is where it was. We were here.
Joy and comfort. Narius and Sol could not keep us apart forever.
I don't know what you're talking about. What?
The means to create a temporary host vessel.
Temporary.
Have you seen Centros? I'll be back later to check in on you.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Goodbye, Illyrion.
Goodbye, my brother.
Last time on FableSMP, we got to see into Ray's mind. Not from my perspective, but from the perspective of his loved ones, as they entered what we have been calling the Mind Palace, and went through some of Ray's memories and nightmares to help regather the soul pieces within him and give them back to him so that he could return to himself after being lost in his head, after learning everything that Fable has done. Maybe not everything, but some of the key things. And when he was stuck in his head, Endirion was able to push herself and Ray to be able to get him home so she could help the people that care about him, save him from himself. And at the end of it, ended up with quite the cuddle puddle on the bed around Ray, as he needed very badly to rest. Last time on FableSMP, Ray finally woke up after recovering for a little bit, after being stuck in his head and then puppeted around by Endirion. His chest is still pretty injured, but he could walk around. And immediately he went and sought out Wolf and Oshi to go try and help find Centros, being very distressed that he had been out for a week. And that means Centros had been missing for over 2 weeks. And they looked around, checking places, rechecking, looking for any clues, until finally they went down to the memorial Centros has been working on beneath the Wolftross house. And on this large tombstone was written all the names of the people he has killed, including even Ray's name on there, from when he had to kill the warden in season 2. But within that tombstone was also a spot marked with his own name. Behind the block that said Centros was a chest that had books inside of it. And those were addressed to Ray, Oshi, and Wolf. But Wolf never got to read his. Because as soon as Ray read the first page and realized that Centros was gone, Wolf changed back into a wolf and fled. And Ray was torn between following after Wolf, but that would mean leaving Oshi behind, as she was struck by the news. So he got Oshi back upstairs, somewhere at least home, before heading out to go find Wolf, realizing that there was a clear path from where he had seen his partner flee to the woods behind the Wolftross house. So he headed into the forest. Last time on FableSMP, Ray chased after Wolf, who is now a wolf again, and found him in the woods, followed him until Wolf stopped, and it was hard. He tried really hard to go and get help. Talk to Jamie to see if Jamie could talk to Wolf, but they can't. Jamie doesn't seem to be able to talk to Wolf like this. And Ray tried a bunch of things to see if anything would help turn Wolf back, but no. He didn't have any luck. Last time on FableSMP, Ray went to the library with Wolf to collect a lot of books. Any book that he thought maybe could have a chance of doing what the My Dearest book did last time. So gathered up any book that had to do with the gods, any book that had to do with Nevaeh, anything he could find. But before he could do that, he ran into a bit of a hiccup in that plan. When he opened the door to the library and found Ulysses there, Wolf immediately bolted. And Ray followed, checked in, and couldn't get Wolf to come with back to the library. So Ray went to the library alone to go collect the books and talk to Ulysses, and was able to get a little bit of information about what Ulysses had done to Wolf. But at that point, Ray was so much has happened that he couldn't, there wasn't any energy left in him to be mad or upset. He was just grateful that at least Ulysses was putting things back and trying to fix it. So they had a good moment. He got to show Ulysses the library start encourage him to try building something, reminding people of the people that the Telkin used to be. And at the end of it, though, got home to see Wolf was with Caspian, where he had to break the news to Caspian about what happened. And he's just been having a really hard time with that. Last time on FableSMP, Ray has been kind of buried in his books, trying to find any that would potentially be the right one to help Wolf. And with that, hasn't made any progress. Athena came by, though, and got him to talk about things that have happened. From everything he found out in the Mind Palace, to everyone being in the Mind Palace and seeing things, to then what happened after, what he found out after with Centros. And it was really helpful to get him to talk about it, to have someone there and get him to work through all of the things that have hit him again and again, back to back. And he got to have a good time with Athena, where they went up and worked on tattoos together, one that he has been meaning to get for a while now. A little reminder of Athena having the Stardrop flower with the word sunshine across it. And afterwards, he finally felt brave enough and ready enough to go retrieve the final 2 books from the memorial underneath Centros's house. Intending to go get the book left there and the one that was addressed to Wolf, he instead found the book that was left there, and a book instead addressed to Icarus. Last time on FableSMP, Ray finally convinced himself to go bring the book that he had found addressed to Icarus to his brother. Though he still doesn't know why or how it was there instead of the book that was supposed to be there, the book that was supposed to be for Wolf. But no. Instead, he got to go talk to Icarus. And that did not go all that well. He found out that the resets are being caused by Fable saving Icarus's life. And Icarus staunchly defended Fable's actions. And said that, if they never got along as brothers, maybe they never would. Last time on FableSMP, Ray was continuing to have, a rough time. And got dragged out of his room by Wolf to find Axe out on the dock fishing. And had to tell yet another person about what had happened. Something that he's found doesn't get easier with time. So, they talked through it, and Axe was furious, ready to run off and fight Fable, but keeping their cool and trying to keep their composure for Ray's sake, and helping him navigate through the next steps he needs to take, being finding a safe place for the lot of them to meet, talk about what to do next. They got working on a place in the Cathedral of War, getting set up with even just some nice details, just to build together and enjoy each other's company as a way to calm down. In it, though, Ray had a wall that he had set up to possibly have another sign wall started as a way to organize his thoughts. And not on my stream, but on Art's, we got to see when he did that. Through Wolf's eyes, we saw Ray starting his sign wall and slowly spiral as he was trying to figure out what happened the night Centros died. He was struggling, and he wasn't making progress, and Wolf managed to get his attention and pull him away, worried for him, but Ray took it as that he wasn't focusing on Wolf, that that's what he was supposed to be doing. So they headed outside, and the full moon was high in the sky. And Ray cried and screamed and yelled and begged for Vikesh to do something, anything, to help. Last time on FableSMP, Ray was going over to, well, he ended up going over to the Wolf Tross house because he found a little chest at his doorstep with a note from Oscar and the old Elytra from the little piglin saying that he was going out to go find Mom. And he rushed over to the house trying to find anyone, to find it empty. It's totally, no one was home. Only there was Paige the alley and, you know, the dogs. But while Ray was there, Ven showed up, which, as so often does, led to a fight with Ven. Those two can never seem to stay friends for long, huh? As Ray couldn't understand why Ven would still side with Fable and was just struggling. And when he rushed off, was comforted by Endirian, who finally got to share her side of the story. How she met Isla, how they started talking more when they fell in love, why they fell apart, and what led to her curse. He finally got answers about his moms, both of them, and was told how Endirian couldn't fix her love's curse, but Ray might be able to. If he can find the source of wolves, he might be able to help him. Last time on FableSMP, Ray went up to the library where he ran into Arasana, making corrections in the museum, specifically to the Aurelius book, where she told Ray that his book was out of date because Aurelius was dead, and she had watched it. Arasana opened up a lot about things that Fable is up to, as her allegiance isn't really to Fable, but to herself and her life staying alive, and warned Ray that Fable is after gods, and Ray has quite a few pieces of those in him. She also mentioned Fable having Wolf's mask, which has led both Ray and Endirian to believe that that is potentially the source of his curse and is needed to return Wolf. So, Ray prepared himself to go talk to Fable. Last time on FableSMP, Ray went to go speak to Fable to go try and get Wolf's mask back. But he didn't find Fable. He went back to Wolf, unsure what to do, when Fable found him. Fable told Ray what his plan was, what he's trying to do, why Illyrion had to die, why Centros was killed, why he needed the shards within Ray. And in exchange for the shards, he would give Ray Wolf. Give Ray back the traitor that caused the shattering of the end. And Ray agreed. Ray said yes, let Fable remove the shards from him, and in exchange got Fenris's resignation letter, which he read aloud and returned Fenris to his form. But before Ray could go help, Wolf attacked. Ray did not survive. Until Endirian interfered and realized that she could either save herself or her son. And she made her choice. Last time on FableSMP, Ray woke up after dying and being saved to see Vikesh with them. He was surprised, but mostly concerned about where Wolf was and going to help Endirian, which of course was too late. And Vikesh did their best to comfort and calm him for having to return. And then Wolf appeared, rushed up, and they embraced, and Wolf got him home, immediately contacted Caspian and Axe so that all three of them could help comfort Ray as he explained what had happened, what was going on, and together they all worked out what they needed to do, working on a message to gather the group. And while Ray wrote out the initial message, Wolf, Caspian, and Axe helped then to translate it into several different languages as they're trying to make it harder for the group with Fable to find their plans by using things like Rail, Telkin, Ender, trying to just reduce the chance of being caught. And they all worked on that together and then got in a big, cuddle puddle at the night. Not on my stream, but later on Oshi's. Ray got woken up in the middle of the night by a call on his comm, as Oshi had finally turned on her communicator to see a bunch of missed messages and calls from Ray, as he was really worried about where she had gone and where Oscar was. So he got to talk to her over the phone a little bit, explain to her about the meeting, hear that Oscar was okay and with her, and he didn't really explain what had exactly gone on his end. He was a bit more concerned about what was going on with her. But he didn't get to talk long before getting dragged back to bed, as he wasn't supposed to be getting up yet. Last time, on FableSMP, we got to see Ray for the first time after the attack and the death of his mother. And we had him currently dressed in a mix mash of boyfriend clothes and delivering a letter to Athena and Jamie about the meeting that will be held tomorrow. When Ulysses reached out to him about having also received the letter, and Ulysses and Ray got to talk about several things, including the injuries Ray has recently sustained, and how they are healed further than they should be for something he just received, which Ray knows is likely because of Endirion. And then got to talk to Ulysses about how to mourn someone. And they got started on a memorial to make in remembrance of her. Last time, on FableSMP, Ray visited Mambu and found that she is doing much worse, and the tree is beginning to rot from its very roots. And she asked him to keep her kids safe when she's not around. Ray was stressed and overwhelmed and trying to figure out what he's going to do about today's meeting when he saw someone else. Centros, or who now goes by Violet, the god of balance. And Ray ran up after him and yelled at him, upset and frustrated that he wasn't doing anything, and Centros exploded back, expressing his own anger with how things have been, how things have had to be, and how he knows that they have to go to give his friends and his family a chance. And it was nice for the two of them to finally get to talk, get to figure out where they're at, where they're going. Last time on FableSMP, Ray got ready for the meeting with everyone that is kind of going up against Fable. So they had a big meeting with everyone, talking through everything that they have learned and what they're going to do going forward. So a lot of planning into what gods they know about, what things they can do, what steps forward we have. And they actually do have a lot of steps forward. There's a lot of leads they have that they can do. And that's very helpful. There's a bit of hope in kind of a mess of a lot of pieces. So the final thing was Ray asking Athena to come with him to have a small wake for Endirion on the next day. before he headed home, and his partners joined him, at least Caspian and Axe joined him, in gathering up all the books from the library that they don't want to have leaving out where Fable and them can find. Last time on FableSMP, Ray held Endyrion's wake, and Wolf and Athena joined him, and to his surprise, they had a third visitor in Luce showing up. And they had a small, quiet, private little moment, remembering and thanking Endyrion for what she had done. And in the end, Ray went up with Wolf and Athena to the parlor and got a new tattoo. An ender orchid, shaped like a coarse fruit tree and the flowers of an orchid. Last time on FableSMP, the original Banner Fam group of Athena, Jamie, Caspian, and Ray were trying to figure out what to do with Mambu's situation when they were interrupted by a visitor with Addie. And Addie got to bring over quite the amount of books. They brought 8 books over. Some new, some old. And they got to go through them, getting some leads, getting some old books back, lots of details. Overall, it was pretty positive. And not streamed, but in the canon fic that takes place between last episode and this episode, we had a interaction with Ray and Easton, where Ray was still incredibly frustrated over not being able to help Mambu, ended up ripping apart one of his notebooks, only to be found that way picking up the scraps by Easton. And Easton got him to have the duel that the two were meant to have back in the Cathedral of War event. Got the two of them to lighten up and loosen up a bit, even though Easton kicked his ass. He did pretty good back. And Easton got Ray to promise that he wouldn't give up on his brother. On Axe's perspective, Ray was there when Axe remembered that Ulysses was one of the scientists that made him, and was there to help pick up the pieces when Axe was crumbling, and helped bring Axe over to Lenarius to get help. Last time on FableSMP, Ray was busy working on a new device, one that measures the frequency of a god's aura, power kind of thing. The auras helped call it a signature. Instead of a god frequency signal, we have settled on a signature. And he was able to start narrowing down some of the signature values for different gods, including Delta, Endyrion, Raza, and Lenarius, as well as Kinaxis too. But with some help from Len, was able to start calibrating his device so that in theory, soon he will be able to tune it to find Kinaxis and help Athena. It also led to a good conversation with Lenarius, getting caught up on where Axe currently is, as well as some snippets of when he was younger. That he and Icarus didn't always fight, and that at least sometime in the past, Ray had run into Athena before, and even taught them many things, including how to bookbind. And that socks are pretty cool. It was really good overall. Last time on FableSMP, Ray was trying to figure out how to help Mambu. And he went up to the tree and unfortunately realized he was too late. So him and Jamie, which he found at Mambu's house, cleaned it up, got rid of all the whack that had messed it up, and then together went to the secret new base and put together a shrine to Afrin and Ouchin, where they put, at least Ray put his book for Endirian there. And Jamie will soon put their book for Mambu there. Not on my stream, but on Fenris's perspective, Wolf realized that the co-workers, Icarus and Ven, had been in his house and taken the book about Malate that had Malate's coordinates in it, rushed over to go check on the god, and all was okay. Shenanigans ensued, seeing the plethora of murals they'd been working on, and Wolf got a brand new fit that Ray got to see when Wolf came home. And Ray was quite excited about that. But recently, Ray's been experiencing some headaches and some issues. Falling asleep in places that makes him, right off the headaches, is nothing more than just sleeping wrong.